listeners. My name is Cliff Ratza. I'm the author of two ongoing series of novels, the Lightning Brain series and its sequel, the Keeper series. And in addition to being an author and a writing coach, I teach at universities and have a consulting business. If you would like to learn more about me, my books, or my writing coach activities, please contact Prime Solutions via the lightningbrainseries.com website. Now, I try to make videos that I think authors and writers and most people might like to listen to. My latest podcasts touch on topics connected to the Ukraine war. And I cover material, or at least I try to cover material, that you might not see on the news or in other YouTube videos or videos posted elsewhere. I figure that if I can't find a different point of view, there's no reason for me to add something that you can find elsewhere. Well, I thought I'd start this video by mentioning several Ukrainian war topics highlighted yesterday or the day before on the news. The first mentioned advanced Russian weaponry, namely thermobaric or vacuum bombs that release fuel oil mist first, then a small explosive charge that ignites the mist that is penetrated inside buildings. The detonation sucks so much oxygen out of the air that the buildings implode, thus simulating a vacuum. And the article also mentioned hypersonic missiles that travel 10 times the speed of sound. What's their advantage? Well, their speed makes them hard to shoot down. And there was another video that presented a CNN interview with Wesley Clark regarding war strategy. Wesley Clark is a former United States Army officer who graduated at the top of his West Point class in 1966 and was awarded a Rhodes Scholarship to the University of Oxford, where he obtained degrees in philosophy, politics, and economics. His insights into Russian and Ukrainian strategy, as well as possible outcomes, show his outstanding subject matter expert qualifications. And another news report, which is grabbing the spotlight, is one about a Russian media person who protested the war live on television, and she refused to retract her statement in court. You can watch on YouTube the Marina Osvennikova's interview that explains how Putin's last rantings pushed her over the just go along reporting red line. She is, after all, part of the Russian media, but her patriotism and loyalty to the Russian people make her speak out against putrid Putin's illegal and immoral war. She and others say that the protests against the war are much more widespread in Russia than the West realizes. Okay, and out of this podcast, its title is Inside the Ukraine, What Might John Gunther Say? And here's why I chose the title. A recent article I came across recounted John Gunther's memoir, Death Be Not Proud. Caught my attention. The book, written over 50 years ago, is a testament of valor for dealing with the death of his son, and people in similar circumstances can draw courage from it. I never read the book, but as a child, I remember his name being mentioned often because of his Inside Books series. They were a popular combination of travel guide and political commentary. Among his best sellers were Inside USA and Inside Europe. Well, I haven't seen or heard any Ukrainian tourist videos, so I thought you might enjoy my simple scholar rendition developed by my collecting and summarizing information. So here goes. Ukraine's area of 233,000 square miles is slightly larger than France. Ukraine is mainly a vast plain or steppe with no natural boundaries except the Carpathian Mountains in the southwest, the Black Sea in the south, and the Azov Sea in the southeast. The Dnipro River, with its many tributaries, unifies central Ukraine economically, and the mouth of the Danube River provides an outlet for Ukrainian trade with the Balkans, Austria, and Germany. The Ukraine has a complex geology with a rich variety of scenery and impressive contrasts in topology. Central and southern Ukraine is primarily prairie, also known as steppes, with very fertile black soil, exceptionally well suited for raising crops, grain in particular. In the east, the industrial heartland of the greater Donbass or Donetsk Basin contain large reserves of mineral deposits. And western Ukraine has many picturesque mountain resorts. Enhancing the topography are two mountain ranges. On the western border are the Carpathians, very popular for winter sports, and the Crimean Mountains divide the Crimean Peninsula, creating a semi-tropical area on its southernmost tip. The Crimea is a popular tourist destination. Here are the names of some of the rivers that are in the Ukraine. The Dnieper, Seversky, Donets, and Dniester. And they flow south into the Black Sea. And to the southwest is the delta of the Danube, and that forms the border with Romania. As of the beginning of this year, the total population of the Ukraine was estimated at 41 million people. And that doesn't include the 2.25 million that were annexed by Russia during the recent two skirmishes, well, they're more than skirmishes, when Russia took over the Crimea and occupied the Donbass. I thought you'd be interested in knowing the name of the Ukrainian currency. It's the hryvnia, sometimes called the grivnia, because if you're going to travel to the Ukraine, you'll need to have their money. The economy of the Ukraine is an emerging free market economy. It grew rapidly from 2000 until 2008, but then the Great Recession hit. Well, it was worldwide, and it affected the Ukraine also. In the early 2010s, the Ukraine was noted for possessing many of the components of a major European economy. Rich farmlands, a well-developed industrial base, highly trained labor, and a good educational system. However, recent Ukrainian troubles, namely the financial meltdown, COVID-19 and Omicron, and of course the Russian war, has made Ukraine the poorest country in Europe by nominal GDP per capita. Some journalists have attributed this problem to high corruption. Well, here's some information you may find helpful if you wish to travel or sightsee in the Ukraine. The summer is the most popular time to visit. June to August offers plenty of warm, sunny days with temperatures ranging from 64 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. This is also the busiest time of the year. However, the country only sees around 14 million tourists, which is just a fraction of the 90 million visitors a popular destination like France gets. So don't expect massive crowds. If you want to avoid the peak summer season, consider visiting in May through September, visiting in May or September, October. It won't be as warm, but you can see the flowers blossom in the Carpathians or watch the leaves change their autumn color. It's chilly at night, but the days are still perfect for sightseeing and hiking. The winters in the Ukraine are cold, with temperatures well below freezing. Unless you're here to ski or do winter sports, perhaps you want to avoid visiting in the winter. And I'll list the major cities ranked by population. Here they are. There's Kiev, with a population of 2.9 million. Kharkiv, population 1.4 million. Odessa, 1.015 million. Dnipro, 980,000. Donetsk, 905,000. And Lviv, 721,000. And here are some travel guidelines from a person who has toured around the Ukraine. Here's what the posting said. In recent years, Ukraine has evolved into a popular budget travel destination. While it might not have the polish and attractions you find in Western Europe, it more than makes up for that with low prices, beautiful landscapes, historic buildings, and sparse crowds. The Ukraine gained independence after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 and is actually Europe's second largest country by area, and that's second largest after Russia. Its history includes domination by various countries, such as Poland, Lithuania, Romania, and Czechoslovakia. Ukraine is home to the deepest metro station in the world, one of the world's most visited McDonald's, and some of Europe's oldest coffee houses. And there are 7 places that have been recognized by UNESCO. It has tons of ghost towns, and you can also find the famous Tunnel of Love. While the recent annexation of Crimea by Russia means you'll want to be careful around the borders with Russia, but the country itself is still safe to travel. Personally, I didn't have many expectations for when I arrived, but I absolutely love my time here. It's affordable, fun, and has lots to offer if you step off the beaten path. The people are really welcoming. The country is inexpensive, and there's a real sense of stepping back in time as you explore the cities and the countryside. I can't praise it enough. Getting around the Ukraine offers these means. By bus, Ukraine has a mix of small, crowded, and outdated buses, as well as larger, more modern coaches. You can take a bus pretty much anywhere in the country, especially if you're prepared to change buses midway. Regarding trains, trains are perfect for longer journeys around the country. Many of the trains have an old Soviet feel to them, but they're safe, reliable, and cheap. And because there are lots of overnight options, you can usually take an overnight train to save yourself a night of accommodation. Regarding air travel, Ukraine has a major airline, Ukraine International Airlines, and it's the main domestic carrier. Regarding cars, yes, you can rent cars, but the roads are in rough shape, so you'll need to drive carefully. Additionally, you need an international driving permit to rent a vehicle. And here's something else about the roads. They are pretty terrible, so be extra careful if renting a car. Follow all the rules of the road, obey the speed limits, and wear a seatbelt. Drivers here are aggressive, so be prepared. And don't leave your variables in your vehicle overnight. Break-ins are rare, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. Crime and petty theft in Ukraine are on a par with much of Europe. Most crimes are crimes of opportunity, so as long as you keep your valuables out of reach when in crowded areas or on public transportation, you can avoid the most common issues. Don't flash your valuables when out and about, and avoid walking alone at night in the larger cities, just to be safe. Now, here are some sites you might consider seeing. Visit Chernovsky University. Founded in 1875, this university is the most fascinating piece of architecture in Chernovsky, a city in western Ukraine. It's constructed from beautifully laid red bricks and decorated with thousands of colored tiles. The design of the building was influenced by a pseudo-Byzantine Hanseatic Moorish style. You can book guided tours from the university. You might wish to relax at Arcadia Beach. This is the country's most famous beach, located in Odessa. It was created to be the country's main summer getaway spot. So there's a multitude of bars, clubs, resorts, and cafes, making it a most popular place to visit during the warmer summer months. The main beach has a water slide and plenty of space to swim and lounge. Just be sure to arrive early to get a good spot. Wander the Odessa Catacombs. This is the largest catacomb system in the world. There are over 1,500 miles of catacombs under the city, created in the 17th century and expanded when the city mined limestone in the early 19th century. By the way, the limestone was used to build the city, and the catacombs were used in World War II after the Germans forced a retreat. While dangerous to explore alone, there are stories of people getting lost and dying down there. You can join a several-hour tour that will take you around. You can visit the Bohdan and Varvara Kanenko Arts Museums located in Kiev. These museums host an impressive collection of European art. You could hang out at the Plasha Svobody, located in Kharkiv, which is in northeastern Ukraine. This massive city square is one of the largest in the world, and at the western end stands the first Soviet skyscraper, complete with geometrically set concrete and glass blocks and bridges. It was renamed Freedom Square after the Ukrainian independence, and it spans a massive 30 acres. And don't miss the empty pedestal where the statue of Lenin used to be. It was toppled during the protests of 2014. You could spot wildlife in Askania Nova Reserve. Established in 1898, this vast reserve spans 128 square miles, is home to a plethora of animal life like buffalo, deer, antelope, horses, and zebras, and camels, and gnus. Or see the Lutsk Castle. This fortress is located in Lutsk's Old Quarter and dates back to the 14th century. The castle walls stand 40 feet high and are 3 to 10 feet thick. It's topped with 3 broad towers that have repelled several sieges. Visit the National Chernobyl Museum, located in Kiev. This small museum is a good prelude to a visit to Chernobyl. Or you could visit the Museum of the Great Patriotic War. This is one of the largest museums in Ukraine and highlights the story of the German-Soviet conflict during World War II. Then there's St. Sophia's Cathedral, built in Kiev in the 11th century. This UNESCO World Heritage Site has an elaborate Baroque exterior, including 13 golden domes. And you could visit Lviv. This is the cultural capital of Ukraine, located 335 miles west of Kiev. It has a Central European vibe and is full of history and incredible architecture. Don't miss wandering through the old town. And for most cities, taking a walking tour is one of my favorite things to do when I arrive anywhere. It's the best way to get your bearings, and you might even meet and make some new friends. Kiev offers free tours. And you can check out the sunflower fields. Sunflower oil is one of Ukraine's largest exports, reportedly with enough fields of sunflowers to cover Slovenia. It isn't too hard to find one. Go in late July for the best views. The season lasts from July to mid-August. So there you have it. If you plan to visit the Ukraine, you can find a wealth of tourist tips online. And that'll do it for this video. Thanks for listening. And budmos, or cheers, as the Ukrainians say.